Hey everybody! Oh, can you hear me? I think so. Everything looks good on my end, so hopefully everything is good on your end in terms of sound quality and whatnot. Okay. I'm gonna give it a minute. I'm trying to make sure that I didn't just totally mess something up. So, 1 second while everything looks good. I don't know what the deal is. Oopsie daisy. Okay, I fixed the link for the giveaway. So you should be able to see that now. Oh, don't need that. Whoa. I apologize. You're going to see a close-up of my face in a couple seconds because my software is acting all weird. So I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into things. Let me say hello to everybody. Hello, Andrew, Andreas, Lower Irvine, Anthony, Eric, Shay, E Proper, Church Boy, Nick, Retro, Caitlin, Sean. Thanks for jumping in and joining us for the October live stream. Sorry it's late. A little bit better. Doctors still have no idea what's wrong with me. It is what it is. I'll probably have a follow-up at some point here. I don't know. Sometime I'm waiting for the doctor to call back with some of my results and schedule the next thing. So I'm not it's kind of day to day. Like I'll have good days, I'll have bad days. Yesterday was pretty rough. And then earlier on in the week, I had a pretty hard day. So still have no idea what's going on. They've ruled stuff out, which is great because a bunch of the stuff that they ruled out are like the terrible things, like, so I'm glad to have those things ruled out and kind of the focus narrowed, but several things that they thought it could be have also been ruled out. And I've gone through multiple different medications. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe it's just age and of my crazy life of fun times catching up with me. But anyway, I'm here. Today's a relatively good day. I did tweak something earlier on today. I took a big breath and my back was not liking that. And so anyway, Bob, I'm sorry to hear that. Thankfully, I have not this hasn't been enough to put me in the hospital. Although there was the first day where I finally went to urgent care, I was in a lot of pain. So hopefully you're feeling better and are no longer in the hospital. Well, you're here, so hopefully you feel better. But yeah, health stuff, especially when they don't know what's wrong, is just kind of, you're just like, well, I don't know what to do. Anyway, enough of that. I'm here. We're good. We're gonna cruise through this thing. So okay. So first off, again, we're doing a giveaway. The form is pinned to the top, and I have fixed it. It was not functioning. Some of you requested access, and I went ahead and corrected it. So you guys should be able to just jump on that and sign up. Looks like 13, 14 of you already have, which is great. Glad you bought a marmalade. They're blowing out of here too. Like I put I think I added a few of them. Though I adjusted the quantities. I wanted to make sure that we didn't oversell them, so I adjusted the quantities today. So they're back on the site because they sold out because I didn't want to oversell them. So there are some more of the marmalades up. Having said that, I'm gonna jump right into stuff. We're gonna start off with the Halloween pins. So I'm gonna switch screens so you're not staring at me, and I'll show off the stuff that was just released today, the ghastly green. We'll go over the, excuse me, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I don't even remember the name of the orange stuff. What did I name the orange stuff? Was Paranormal Purple, which are basically all sold out. Here, we'll just switch. There we go. I don't remember what it was. Anyway. So the ghastly green pens are up today. You got the pocket modal, standard style pocket modal. That one's on the main website. We've got the dragon skin bolt. That's on the main website. And then the retract is a Pen Club exclusive. So the Pen Club members, I haven't sent the email out because I was behind all day today. I apologize for that. But if you are a Pen Club member, you'll have an email going out that will have access to that in the email. Putrid Pumpkin was the old one. This is a slightly different color. I think it's Terrifying Terracotta or something like that. It's a slightly different color than the Putrid Pumpkin ones that we did a couple years ago. This orange is a little bit like darker, so it has that terracotta color as opposed to the base coat of the orange that we used. And then and that's what's going to be coming next week. So next Friday we'll have on the main site, we're going to have the ink. This is a pocket modal that has a smooth lower. It's an exclusive. We're going to have some of these with the smooth lower so it's going to match the standard modal. That'll be on the main website. And then Pen Club exclusive will be the standard sized modal with that treatment on there. So that's going to be next Friday, and that will wrap up the Karis pen. That will wrap up the Karis Pen Co. Halloween releases. Yeah, so we got two different terracotta things that I'm talking about here. So the marmalade vertex is actually also technically the Delta. Delta calls that terracotta as well. Unfortunately, so Eric, are you talking about this colorway? I don't have this in a vertex. The distressed orange right now. I didn't prep vertexes for that. I don't know why. Probably because I just kind of missed it, for lack of a better word. So unfortunately, yeah, no, I don't have vertexes in that color. But I could send some out and we could do like an early November release on that one. unfortunately, the marmalade is not going to ever be available in the ink. Edsel, like we're out of the material, so it's not going to happen. Like this last batch of the marmalade vertexes will be the final batch of the marmalade pens that we release. I think I have one marmalade decograph left, and then the last of the marmalade vertexes are available on the website now. And then just briefly, so that's what you can expect for like the Halloween stuff. I had planned to do some other Halloween releases with some laser work, but we've had a bunch of jobs on the laser recently, and I just didn't have time. I don't think we'll have time to squeeze them in before the end of October. So these three colors, the purple, green, and orange, will be the three Halloween releases for this year. And I guess that kind of segues, since I have the basics on here, that kind of, we'll go ahead and segue into an Everyday Keras update. So I know that there was a Marmalade decograph. It was the original version of Marmalade was used on the decograph. When we got that in, we did, I think, 50. They were numbered. They were like an actual limited edition numbered. I can't even remember what year that would have been. Probably 2017. So anyway, back on track. So I've kind of given some updates this last week on Everyday Keras, but we had a bunch of people ask today specifically. I got direct messages about it. And that, so I want to give an update on Everyday Keras. Basically, the site that I built in January and February, and March, that we launched in April, that for all intents and purposes was working fine, very robust, stripped down, shouldn't have had any issues, is basically unusable. Between the web host and server issues, and then working with them to work through the initial issue, and following all of their, like, try this and then try this and then try this to get it functioning. Once I did all those changes, and then they were like, oh, well, it was our fault. We messed something up on our end, but we fixed that, so you should be able to go ahead and, do whatever you need to get it back up and running. We've attempted to do all that. We've rolled everything back. We've installed backups and changed everything, done everything that we can possibly do to return it to the way that it functioned properly. And there's nothing that I or our web developer have been able to do to get it to actually function. So we're moving the site. So I'm building a third site, and this will be the third website that I built in the last 18 months, basically. Really, it's the fourth website I built in the last 20 months, because we built a website about this time last year that then got scrapped for the Keras Penco site, because it couldn't do what we needed to do. I've said in the past, I'm not a web developer. Everything that I have learned has been by the seat of my pants. I taught myself HTML years ago in the early 2000s. and I scrape together CSS as best I can and stuff like that. However, because Everyday Keras is, as for lack of a better word, as basic as it is, no pun intended, it allows us to use a website, an e-commerce platform like Shopify that is relatively simple to use. And so we're going to move to, we're in the process. I'm in the process. I'm a week into learning Shopify and moving everything over. The good news is Shopify was able to bring over orders and user information. And so there's a lot of stuff that got pulled over already. Now, I'm not positive that that is necessarily going to translate into you're going to be able to use your previous account on Shopify the way that you did on our old website, which is run by WooCommerce. They use different, they're based on different platforms. And so even bringing over user information and customer information in terms of like the accounts that you guys set up, it's not the same. So I have yet to be able to test that functionality in terms, so you may have to, there may be a learning curve once we get everything up and running in terms of like logging in to your existing quote unquote account and having your orders be in there. And it might be that that's not something that we can do, even though we ported all that stuff over. Might have to erase all that user information, which I apologize for. Like I'm attempting to make it work so that, you know, your user information is in there. The orders are, I verified the orders are in there. They're complete and everything like that. And so the goal right now, my goal right now is to get the site up as quickly as possible, ideally before the end of October. This doesn't affect the last quarterly basic subscription for the brass pens that we sold on the main site, on the Everyday Keras site, and then moved over when all of this stuff happened, moved over to the Keras Pen Co. Those will ship as normal. The second one will ship here shortly towards the end of this month. What it is slowing down is it's slowing down the individual release of the brass basic, and then these Halloween basics that I have had done for like a month now in preparation for Halloween. So it's slowing down some of that stuff. So my goal, my hope is to be able to get it up and running and functioning properly in the next like 2 weeks. So that we can move forward with that. Because we have a lot of plans. I have other products ready, non-pen products to sell, a few of them, in fact. Just some everyday carry like items and stuff like that. Some we're redoing, excuse me, we've made a batch of the original titanium keychains that we had with when we made phone cases. So I have a batch of those that are ready to go on the site. We got them shortly after the Everyday Keras site went down. And then we have a new design for like a carbon fiber like kind of keychain idea that we've had designed for like 9 years and never released. It's just, it was in a folder and was like, oh, we'll get around to it eventually. And so we went ahead and we're like, oh, we had some carbon fiber stuff that we were working with anyway. We're like, oh, let's just do this. It was in the hopper, ready to go. So we have some non-pen stuff, we have pen stuff. So I want to get that website up and running and functioning. And I think having kind of played around in the Shopify environment, there's some customization stuff that I'm that I'm still like dealing with in terms of like making stuff. It doesn't have to look exactly the same, but I want it to look similar so it's not jarring. Um, so there's some functionality stuff that I'm still working through, and then I have to test there's some testing that needs to be done in terms of checkout and stuff like that. But I don't expect it to be nearly as painful for you or for me as time goes on. The customer especially, oh boy, that was loud. Customer wise, it should be far easier to use. It's just a far more, because it's not built for a bunch of customizations, and we don't need that for everyday Keras. It's going to allow the entire user experience for a customer to be a lot more just easy to use on a phone, whatever device you're on. So unfortunately, with as complicated as a lot of our products are for Keras Penco, I'm not sure that we'll ever be able to move the Keras Penco side to Shopify. Be nice if we could. Just in the week that I've been kind of building out everyday Keras, while it limits some things that I can do, and without editing templates in the background, the CSS files, it's quick and fast, and the user interface is a lot easier for me to use. So it has its trade-offs. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully that gets up and running by the end of before the end of October. Andrew, so the special release, honestly, like part of the reason that we don't offer customizations on the special releases in terms of refills is so that we can completely assemble them, and then they're ready to ship. Like they're all the way 100% put together, boxed up, so that when they're ordered, we can throw them in a shipping and they go out. That was a decision that we made quite some time ago. We very rarely offer special release products with the ability to like choose your refill. Number one, there's just fewer of them, so they usually sell out quickly. And then for that reason, we want to cut down on the shipping time. And it actually, it's quite a long time. Like you'd be surprised in the amount of time that the shipping technician has to do when the pens aren't completely assembled. So that's the only reason that we don't do customizations on those normally. We usually just put the whatever standard refills go in those, which for the pocket modal is the 8126, and for the modal it's the Pilot G2. So that's kind of the reason behind that. So the brass basics. I'll have to like look through and see if there's a way to do an add-on for that. But if there is, we can always do an add-on for that. I'll have to look into after this. So I'll have to look at it. So it's not out of the question that we can add an add-on, or I have to make sure that we have some of those ready to go and available. So we did have plans for copper. We do have plans for copper modals. I'm trying to think what is. I think because we changed the upper body a little bit in terms of where the clip goes in, I think we just haven't machined those yet. But yeah, we do have plans to do those. I just have to figure out when we're going to get them done. We've had kind of a staffing. We hired an operator 2 or 3 months ago, and then out of the blue, he quit recently, like a couple weeks back, and so we have another operator who's working, but he's being trained on everything. So it's just it's just Bill, Josh, and one operator right now in terms of who's working in the shop. So things are a little bit behind in terms of that. Hey, Adam, welcome in. So the brass basics, I wanted to make sure that we are going to go ahead and release the brass basics individually. They're just going to be pushed back a little bit. Like normally the first brass basic would have been released by now, but the first one's probably not going to hit the website until sometime in November. And then we'll probably release the second one in mid to late November. And then the third one hopefully will allow us to catch up and release that one in December. So thanks, Proper. Like that's me attempting to put some type of marketing and not just blah whatever wording on there. Like my job would be extremely boring if I wasn't able to kind of pontificate. So we have 3 of, so Bob, we had 3 of them. The 1, 2, and the 3 are the ones that we've made so far in terms of the brass basics, and those will go up on those are the subscription members that purchased into that. They already have gotten the first one. Their second one will go out soon. Yeah, I don't know how to archive the newsletters. Like I've thought about that before, attempting to do that somehow. I don't know. You could archive them in your you could set up a folder in your email and archive them. I'm kind of all over the place in terms of that. So anyway, let me finish my thought on the basics and then we can move on, and I'll kind of I feel like I'm jumping around here. My brain is still not functioning 100%. So yeah, so we will, before the end of the year, have the brass basic 1, 2, and 3 on the Everyday Care site. And then moving forward, I'm not 100% certain that we're going to do 4, 5, and 6, simply because a couple of those just weren't very popular. So that's kind of why the specifics on those might be different. And then so that's the goal with that one. And then I think we have, besides the Halloween special releases, we're going to do one kind of Black Friday special basic. And then probably just a holiday, like one holiday basic release before the end of the year with Everyday Caras. And then kind of wrap things up there and hopefully have a couple other like non-pen products besides the stuff, the keychain, the titanium keychain, be released before the end of the year on Everyday Caras. Yeah, so there's that. So, okay, now, back to Caras Penco products, kind of once again, jumping all over the place. This is the official announcement that we are also discontinuing and retiring the Retract. so a couple months ago, we announced that we are retiring the EDK and phasing it out, and like are well into it's. I'm not sure how many more releases we'll have before the end of the year, besides the Prospector stuff that releases tomorrow. We'll have one more round of the Ultra Black. Coming in November. And then we'll have maybe one more small release before the end of the year in terms of custom colorway or potentially some Cerakote, like a small color of Cerakote, and small, maybe like 10 or 15 pins. And then the EDKs will be completely like gone. We don't have any, excuse me, sorry. We don't have any copper EDKs left. And I have a handful of the brass stuff that'll be up for sale towards the end of the year. And then kind of we'll go through probably towards the holidays, have some grab bags or mystery boxes that are just kind of like the random onesies and twosies in terms of like just mixing and matching whatever like uppers and lowers we have together for the EDKs. And then the retracts are going to be basically right behind that. So kind of once we're into next week, we'll start reducing the pricing on all of the existing stuff that's in the drawers, like the standard retracts. And then I'll go through, I already went through once and kind of got an idea of what we have, but I'll start sending the last of the retracts out to Anodize and Cerakote to get those kind of into the same position where we're at right now. So we have like some special stuff coming back in terms of like a few more releases before the end of the year, and then those will be kind of gone and done. And then those two pens will be for the now kind of phased out. And that's not to say, again, like I don't want people to think that like that style of pen or anything is gone for good. Part of the reason that we're phasing those two pens out is so that we can, we do stuff like this when it's time to make a new batch. And we really need to kind of potentially find a way to make those pens faster and more cost effective for us to manufacture them. And then we also need to potentially segment them a little bit more from each other. And so in doing that, like making a brand new batch of both of those pens just didn't make sense. And so for the future health of a pen like that, or us bringing them back with a new process that, shaves $5 to $10, dollars in SRP off of them. That's kind of the goal, is to figure out a way to do that. And continuing to do the way that we're doing it now just doesn't work in terms of accomplishing that. So part of the reason that it's really difficult to do that, like Bill and I sat down to talk about pricing on the pens and find a way to like, what can we do to keep those pens viable, but reduce the price potentially. And one of the big barriers to us reducing the price is the fact that so often Anodize will mess up the pens to the point where we have to put extra money in them to get them to sell. And that's only sustainable when the pens are selling like they were in 2022 and 2021 for near full price, and we're getting, and the whole concept of the economics of things had not changed like they have in the last 2.5 years. So now we need to look at ways to eliminate outside loss, outside product loss, outside profit loss. So potentially redesigning that pen so that there's less ways that they can get messed up at the anodizer, redesigning the pens so that they're faster for us to make, so that they potentially have a different mechanism, because the mechanisms that we use have only gotten more expensive. They're made in Germany, costs us a lot to, the increase in price in terms of just the base materials has gone up significantly. Tariffs impact them dramatically. Like we're going to continue to order those mechanisms just so we can have them to sell in terms of replacement parts. So keeping them on hand is something that we are going to do. But if we can find a way to potentially source a mechanism that works just as good, or make a mechanism that works just as good, that is, even 50 cents to $1 cheaper per piece, like the manufacturing cost, because we're not if we're making them ourselves, or we're able to find something else that's not coming from Germany or somewhere else, that we can can save money that way, then it's all exponential, is basically what I'm saying. So that's kind of the goal in terms of that style of pen, because one of the things that I was really hesitant to do with the Retract is like, we sell Retracts not just to like regular customers, but we sell Retracts to a lot of people that want a standard sized and a click pen, a retractable pen, a standard retractable pen. And so having that type of pen that doesn't have a weird knob like the Bolt, it doesn't have a weird side action like the Modal or the Basic. It's a very straightforward, looks like a pen, is a pen, acts like a pen, functions like a pen. People see it and go, that's a pen. As opposed to, something like this, that somebody's like, oh, what is that? Like, it kind of looks like a pen, like, how does it work, type of thing. So yes, it's quick to figure this out. But if you're used to having something that's just a pen, and you're at a place and you're like, oh, I want to buy a nice pen, and you see all the options, unless you're somebody that's like, oh, I really like gadgets, or the person I'm buying for likes gadgets and stuff like that, they're going to gravitate towards the thing that looks most like what they're used to seeing, and that's going to be, and functions that way too, and that's going to be the Retract. And so the goal is to ultimately have something that is the Retract successor, or the Retract reimagined, and back on the site at some point in the near term, as opposed to the long term, because not having that option, we think not having that option is largely a negative. It's just that we have to find that and make that product, and so that's kind of where we're going to go from there. The EDK potentially may not have the same resurrection that Retract or Retract style or a standard size retractable pen does, simply because the pocket modal and the modal kind of fill the same void. But we're not saying that style of pen goes away completely. We might find a way to, especially if we find a different mechanism that doesn't cause the pen to come out in your pocket and leak all over your pant leg or something. So that's kind of where we're at. Discontinued, retired, and then to the drawing board to figure out, hey, let's bring that style of pen back in whatever form it is that meets our current specifications, meets the needs of the customers and people that aren't our customers, but is also ultimately a better product, but also more like better financially for the customer and for us. So it's a win-win all the way around. Okay. Nick, not really. So Nick asks, is it feasible to make them by hard plastic polycarbonate? And I mean, this can reduce the price. So neither of those are really true for a couple of reasons. One, we would, in order to make the retractor or the EDK out of something like polycarbonate or Ultemp or even Delrin, changes would have to be made to the clip because this style of clip is not going to function in that pen. So we'd have to make a different clip for that pen and have it mount a different way. So that's number one. Number two, the only way to really reduce the price for those materials away from the aluminum version would be to have polycarbonate molded. And the price reduction would come only if we were able to sell in very, very high volumes. Machining those, buying the rods and machining those is as expensive or more expensive than machining in aluminum or brass, just because there's going to be a loss and the cost is negligible. Like Delrin is as cheap or cheaper depending on the price of aluminum at the time, but isn't as robust, obviously. So it doesn't make sense for us to try plastics with those. It wouldn't actually save money. All right. The EDK. That's actually there is actually a well, is it not? The EDK was originally the re-bolt because it used a bolt lower on a retract upper and had a spacer that we made, or actually we didn't make it. It was a customer basically took two of his pens, used a spacer, so that was the re-bolt. Okay. No, not worth it at all. All right, so that's kind of like, that kind of brings me to like the updates in terms of the stuff that I can really talk about. Like there's a bunch of different things that are kind of up in the air in terms of releases and schedules and stuff like that, that I just don't have a lot of, I don't have a firm timeline on. So I'm hesitant to like tease product that I don't have, that I know is in the plan. But we are still, there are multiple different like things going on with Karas Pen Co. Besides the marmalade stuff, we do have several different acrylic and other plastic / resin vertex releases that are in the works, that are done. They need to be polished or have one more op to be run on them. to have more of those available before the end of the year. We're going to have, obviously, modals are going, the standard modals in specific colorways are going to come back. The bolts are going to come back in a full lineup because we're out right now in the process of getting all the bolts out to anodize so we can get them all back on the website before the end of the year. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm planning out the fountain pen day release this year. I think we're only going to be doing one, maybe two. In the years past, we did 2 or 3, and I think one year we did 5. This year's not going to be that many. It's going to be 2 at the max. One will be an acrylic release, fingers crossed, and one will be a Cerakote release. Speaking of Cerakote releases, I do have some. There are going to be some Cerakote grab bags of fountain pens that'll be available. Not even grab bags. They're just going to be like we're going to blow them out. It's a color that, and a finish that didn't really sell. And so that didn't turn out, it didn't sell. It didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. So we're going to have some of those available sometime in November. But yeah, that's kind of like, I have a lot of things that I have a lot. I don't even have a lot on my plate. I have a lot of plates right now. I'm like the guy juggling all the plates. I've got a lot of them. And so I'm way behind in terms of where I normally am at this time of year. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed. So just bear with me as time goes on. The basic sliders are not, I mean, they might work. They'll probably rattle around in there. Bob, I'm still working on the spreadsheet. It's like kind of way down the list right now in terms of the nice part about the spreadsheet is that James Cheshire, who is part of the pen club, and like he did a lot of the front, the heavy lifting, and kind of laid it all out. It's just I have to go through there and add all the products, and I just have not had a chance to do that. So I'm hopefully once Everyday Keras is back up and running, then I can shift into finalizing that and getting that stuff up. So fingers crossed that happens sooner rather than later. All right, since I'm answering questions anyway, we're going to go ahead and segue into the official Q&A section of the chat or of the live stream. However, if you have not yet filled out the giveaway, the form is pinned at the top of the page. Please fill that out. And then we can kind of go from there. Okay? So fill that out and then throw your questions into the chat. Sorry, I just had somebody email me. Trying to figure out what it's about. Questions. No questions today? Everybody asked all their questions. Wow. I don't think this has ever happened before. Whoa. The orange basics. Yeah, Nathan. So the orange basics, I'm hard at work. Basically, everything that I'm working on right now during my daily shift is getting Everyday Keras back up and running on Shopify. And the goal is to have that done before the end of October, and those will be available. We'll put them all up. I have about, I think there's 15 to 20 of each of those. So there's the, I'm trying to look at them. I think it's a 3, a 4, and a 6 are the actual numbers on those. This is I put them in the wrong order. This is the 3, that's the 4, and that's the 6. So those 3 will have in those colors. Fingers crossed, if everything goes the way that it is, by the end of October. So, all right, let's see. Is adding knurling or ring to the top of the modal been explored? A ring, like some of them have rings on them, unless you mean a dramatic like recess or something, or like or making it oversized. We haven't done a knurling. So the reason that knurling will definitely not happen is because the J slot is so far up on top of those. So the J slot's all the way up at the top. There might be like a small portion. We're talking about modals, not basics. Sorry. Doing a minimal one might work, but I don't know that we would do that. Part of the reason that we remove that option to begin with from the programming is it uses live tooling that frequently does not like to be on the machines at the same time the live tooling that they use for the J slot. So it's probably not going to happen in terms of knurling. It might happen in terms of some type of like details that go up there, but that's something I'd have to run by Josh and Bill to see if we'd ever do that before. So the distressed orange Cerakote pens are coming next Friday. So there's a mosquito in here. Sorry. So yeah, so the green ones went up today. Next Friday is the orange. Caron, I still want to see a titanium model. I know you addressed this before, but you know. I don't know when or if that will happen. I know that it's something that we wanted to test. We still have not tested it. We have bolt lowers that are done that we could use on those, but figuring out that machining process on titanium, it would be pretty daunting at this point in time. The basic clip screws, all we really did was one, moving from a Torx Plus to a standard Torx is more cost effective for the end user. Because a regular Torx, to buy a regular Torx wrench, that's just a standard Torx instead of a Torx Plus is a lot cheaper than buying a Torx Plus. That's the first one. Switching to a Torx versus a Torx Plus head on a screw is also cheaper. It's just we couldn't get that specific size of screw of fastener in a standard Torx from McMaster Carr. And we just hadn't really tracked down a place to do it. And then because we were using so many of them on the basics, and had kind of moved to them for bolts and retracts, and we were using them on the EDKs. It was like, why don't we just see if somebody will make these for us? So Bill found the new company, and they're like, oh yeah, we can make those, but you know, you need to order X amount, which is significantly more than we would order from a MasterCar. So our minimums went up dramatically. Like normally I think we order 2,000 fasteners at a time, and we ordered 15 or 20,000 this last time, but got them like cheaper than we did before, and it standardizes. It's a better size. A lot of people ask us if we would ever switch to a regular size. And when we'd looked before, there wasn't a lot available in terms of like sourcing them from a company in the United States. So it just made sense at the time. Like when Bill found them, it's like, hey, we should probably do this. And we were just like, yeah, like that's just, it's a no-brainer. Let's just switch to the standard Torx 8, T8 Torx. Dave isn't funny. Delrin grip sections for the Vertex. Probably not in the near term. Maybe never, realistically, for a variety of reasons. The main one being Delrin grip sections always just suck because the threads, the internal thread size for the nib, those threads are so fine. It is really, really difficult for us to cut those into Delrin. Even when we've done the Delrin inks and the Delrin decagraphs, those grip sections, we have so much loss on those. And with the way that Delrin moves while being machined, the big concern is between those internal threads for the nib and then there might be a variance between these that's really dramatic, where like this could be the outer diameter on this might be too big. Like you'll finish it, seems like it's fine, but as it cools, it'll flex a little bit and you'll end up with a part that's not, these are not the same diameter or even close to the same diameter. They're oversized. It's not as noticeable on pens like this because you got a lot of stuff going on here where you don't really see it, the transition here. So if this is not necessarily the exact same size, it's not that big of a deal. But we did end up having to scrap, like we've had to scrap caps before on the inks specifically because basically scrap them because the diameter between the body and the cap has been like noticeably different. And with this grip section being kind of seamless here, I don't know that it's necessarily going to happen in the short term. However, it is a good idea, and I would like to see one because I think Delrin is like one of the best materials in terms of like writing comfort. I like the feel of a Delrin pen better than other plastics. So not necessarily out of the realm of us potentially doing that. There's going to be some learning that goes into it and figuring it out and just having the time to do it. Yeah, it would make them easier if there's something to grab onto, you know. It's not out of also the knurling or some type of design on these is not necessarily, it's not something it is something we might look at doing. I just don't know. That's not a me thing. That's definitely somebody else thing. Red, white, and blue bolt. Like the striped one, like the ones that look like the flag, Church Boy. Sean, so I'm not sure where they're getting that Delrin from. I have an idea, And we've reached out to one company that makes blue Delrin. But the manufacturer for the blue Delrin that we found is the only manufacturer of it. It's not technically, it's a type of Delrin. I think it's somewhere in Australia or New Zealand. We've emailed a couple different companies that have other colors and haven't heard back from them. Delrin is made in a lot of different colors. It's not frequently made in rods in different colors. It's only made in sheets in different colors. And so when we've attempted to source other colored Delrin, like yellow, green, blue, they have a bunch of different colors. I have samples of a bunch of them. Nobody makes them in rods. They make them in sheets. I think they're like 5 foot by 5 foot sheets or something like that. And they're like, I think the smallest you can get them at the time was like an inch thick. And so there'd be a ton that would go into doing that. So I don't know if now there's somebody that's making them out of rods natively. And if so, then yeah, we would definitely get other colors. I just have to figure out where they're getting them from. Titanium basic. Yeah, that's everybody's titanium basic for sure. Okay, so Birdie says, would a Macrolon grip be challenging as Delrin? I would love a black matte vertex with a single material, but I don't like slippery plastic grips. So these are Macrolon. All of our transparent colors are made from Macrolon. Now, people have an idea of fountain pens and Macrolon, and the only thing that they think of is the Lamy 2000 because of the outer, like the way that they've made that Macrolon look. Macrolon, these are Macrolon. Macrolon is polycarbonate. And it's just I think it's DuPont's trade name for polycarbonate. And it's primarily transparent. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can get Macrolon in almost any color because when it's made, like our molder that makes these, he just adds dye pellets to these in clear Macrolon. So getting solid color Macrolon is for sure possible. Part of the reason that people that know of Macrolon with the Lamy 2000 is because they put that exterior finish on it that basically is like, I don't know how they do it. It's you could potentially mold them that way if you have a mold that's made with those like crevices and cracks in there. Or you could, after the fact, run them through a some type of fine cutting device that scores the outside of them. So I'm not sure how Lamy makes those, but that texture could be put on. We could put them on the grip sections that we have that are made out of Macrolon. It's just we would have to find a way to do that. So I don't know that we would ever. We've talked about doing a similar design on the body, but not on the grip. But I'm not sure how we would get that to work properly. I know that we've messed around with very fine, like very, very, very fine blasting on Macrolon. So. So yeah, technically we could do a clear version of it. The issue that we've run into with the clear versions having them molded is that the part lines are visible and we've kind of fought with figuring out how to polish the inside of them. So we have yet to find the way to do that on clear or semi-transparent, like the colors that these colors. We've just yet to figure that out. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that isn't either It's something we've definitely looked into. That's not going to happen. The triangular grip-on modals. If we messed around with any non-round versions of our pins, it would be on the basic. The modal, because of the complication of the slot, is not something that we would do in terms of like a non-round version. So if we're ever to see a non-round, whether it's hexagonal or any of the other options, octagonal, pentagonal, it would be on the basic pens, simply because we can source material in that size for those pens, and because it's one body, it would be easier. We could do it, and we don't have to worry about clocking them, because those parts are made on two different machines. Like the uppers and lowers are not made on the same machine. We use one machine to make uppers and one machine to make lowers, and they run at the same time. And so, like, when we've attempted to clock things before in the past in those, like we've always had a significant amount of loss. You really need to do finished versions of that, especially with a pen that has like a dividing line in the middle. Like that type of thing needs to be done at the end. You thread it together, you put it in a machine, you do the externals on it. It's like why people like Sean Newton and other fountain pen makers that make non-traditional shaped pens do them like one at a time, or other companies make them out of one singular piece, where like some other companies that do non-round pens, their pens have a tip that threads off, and so this body is just made out of tubing or whatever, and so they can make whatever design on there. They don't have to worry about clocking the two pieces. So if we were ever to do something like that, it would make sense for us to attempt to do that on a basic. I would love to see a titanium Vertex too. That's my like dream pen. But if the price of titanium comes down, Franklin Christoph does a nice frosted style, which would be, we have experimented with that, with our own version of that. We just haven't nailed it down yet. All right, it's after 4. Let's do the giveaway, or I'll start that process. That way, since I have a bunch of work still left to do, let's do that. You're welcome. I'm happy to answer. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to answer questions. All right. Let's see here. Pull this up. Oopsie daisy. That's not it. That's it. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Now that, so Bach is now making number 8 nibs in steel. Um, I'm not going to say that it's not going to happen. It would not be in a vertex. That's for sure. It would probably not be in a pen that we make right now. If we were to make a pen, if we already have a pen that had a number 8 style nib, it would likely be a new pen, or a larger pen, obviously a larger pen, and probably based off of the ink rather than the vertex. But that's mainly due to the fact that because the vertex has grips that are not made internally, like the grips, the transparent grips that we use is a 2-process grip. So they're molded initially. So we had custom molds made for those grips. And then a company locally has those molds, and then we have them mold them. And so like they're molded, they're like 70% done at the molder. And then they bring them back here from there. I mean, they're right down the street from us. We go pick them up. We put them in the machine, and then we do finish internal and external machining on them and then polish them. This significantly reduces the time needed on them, and also makes the finish process a lot nicer. Because when you machine rod stock down to get this finish, there's almost always, with the drilling and all of the different things that you have to do, causes it to not be able to be polished to a full transparent like this is, where it looks good. But if you mold them most of the way, then we can use very customized tools that allow us to just skim cut real fine at very like over and over and over again to get that smooth, perfectly, clear finish on there. And then it just is a little bit of machining, or a little bit of polishing, sanding and polishing to keep that finish really nice, which is why we went that route. Like the original ones, our original grips for the Vertex were machined, and they're nowhere near as nice as these are in terms of like just the finish all the way around. So it's a big expense to have those molds made. So we would not be able to have those molded for a number 8. They wouldn't work with what we have. We would have to have new molds made for those nibs that would then be bigger. So we would probably start with something like the ink, or a similar style to the ink, like a jumbo ink or something that looks similar, and make our own grip sections that fit that, at least for the initial run. Having said that, we've priced the number 8 nibs from Bach, and they're significantly more expensive. I would imagine a pin with that nib would be, so if it was an ink, so an aluminum ink with a number 8 nib would probably be between $200 and $220 with a steel nib for that, like with a number 8. We've had the number 8 titanium nibs and gold before. I just don't think that that's going to happen. Not in the current market. Like we're not going to bring back titanium gold nibs in number 6 sizes, let alone number 8 sizes, until there is some correction in the market in terms of like people spending money on pens like they were between 2018 and 2021. The price of gold is like gold nibs right now. Like we used to be able to get a gold nib. Like our cost on a gold number 5 or number 6 nib was between $90 and $110, and I think they're close to $300 now. I think maybe the last time we got them quoted. And titanium nibs used to be $45, and I think they're now $75. So there's just, outside of sourcing them from somewhere else, like some of the Indian manufacturers, in which they make them, they're totally different nibs. We don't have a lot of options to keep costs low right now. And so it's just not putting out the money initially to get that stuff to potentially just hold on to it because it doesn't sell is not something that we can do right now. So, all right, let's do the giveaway. I've run the randomizer, and the winners for the giveaway are as follows. Nick Speed, Shay Matthews, and E Proper Co. Congratulations. You did miss the giveaway. You missed the entire live stream because I'm about wrapping stuff up. Sorry, Blake. We started at 3 today. Apologies. Congrats to the winners. Hello, wife. Yeah. Hopefully you figure out what's wrong with your Suburban, and happy anniversary. Oh, gosh. What else is going on? Do we have any last questions? Go back and watch. There's a bunch of news, although I'm rambling frequently as always through everything. So if there's any last questions, guys, I would be happy to answer them. If not, I'm going to sign off because I still have probably 30 to 45 minutes worth of work to do before I can leave for the day. Ha! You are correct, Blake. It is, it will, that is a bourbon that will ruin you for all other high proof bourbons. Like, honestly, like I've made a hard limit on how much I'll spend on a couple ounces of George T. Stagg. And luckily there's like 2 places in Arizona that are well under that. Well, like are significantly under the price of a pour. And every once in a while, if I'm at either of those places, I'll splurge and get a pour. Hopefully I can figure out what's wrong with me, because I'm like, I don't need alcohol to cause any other issues with this. So I haven't had any kind of alcohol at all since all of this stuff was going on. So, which is great. It's a break. I usually take breaks anyway, but like this is like a much longer break than I normally take. But once I figure out what's wrong with me, as long as it doesn't preclude me from engaging in drinking alcohol, that's probably one of the first things I'll do is go to one of the spots that has some George T. Stagg and I'll be sampling. I'll be drinking some of that. Although I have a bunch of nice stuff right now at the house too, but that's definitely a celebratory pour for sure. Solid Cerakote red, white, and blue bowls for July 2026. Okay, I'll have to figure. Church Boy, you need to send me the picture of those because I don't remember them. I don't remember those. So send me a picture of the red, white, and blue ones that we did, so that I can figure out which ones those are. Because yeah, we'll do those again. Like, I just don't like the only ones that I can think of were the ones that we did that were like a flag design, and those aren't Cerakote. Those are like custom painted. All right, so the 3 people that I named off: Nick Speed, E Proper Co, Shay Matthews. Please email paul@karascustoms.com with your shipping information, and I'll get you guys' prizes out to you this week. Please. That way we can tie that up in a bow. All right. If there's nothing else, we're also going to tie up the live stream in a bow so I can get back to work. So anything else? Going once, going twice. All right, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you back here next month. We'll have a bunch of amazing things to go over next month. Hopefully some big things that I've been holding on to because they'll be like ready to be released before the holidays. Be safe. Thank you so much for being here. And if you need any questions answered that I didn't answer, you can always post them down below, or you can email them to me.